Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Market Day Report. I'm Christina Loren. USDA data indicates that American agriculture contributed more than $1 trillion to U.S. GDP in 2016, and that's up 6% from the prior year. However, as a direct result of falling commodity prices, the contribution of farm production to U.S. GDP decreased by 6% from 2015, falling to the lowest level since 2010. Joining us now from the AFBF Washington headquarters is Market Intelligence Director John Newton. Thank you so much for joining us, as always, John. Now, during 2018, net farm income is projected to drop to the lowest level in over a decade, while other sectors of the U.S. economy continue to improve. What's going on with agriculture?
Well, in agricultural's contribution to GDP was record high in 2016. It came in at just over $1 trillion. But when we think about falling commodity prices, where commodity prices have been in recent years, farm contribution to GDP is at a record low, coming in at less than 1%. And then the farm contribution of agricultural GDP is also at a record low, coming in at just 13%.
Okay, so that means all other agricultural sectors are contributing more to the U.S. economy in 2016 compared to a year prior in 2015?
That's exactly right. So with agricultural GDP being at a record high, and yet the farm share of agricultural GDP being at these low levels, means other sectors of agriculture are doing better than prior year levels. That means the food and beverage space, the textile industry, forestry, fishery industries are all doing better in 2016 than they did in 2015.
You know, the hard part about this downturn in the farm economy, it means that farmers and ranchers have less of an ability to directly generate positive economic activity throughout the state and the national economy. What are some of the Farm Bureau's efforts to help reverse this trend?
Well, I'd say Farm Bureau, we've been monitoring this trend for several years now. We know that it's likely to continue given where commodity prices were in 2017 and 2018. That's why we've been very engaged with members on the Hill trying to get the Farm Bill through committee. We saw the actions yesterday in the Senate. We'll be actively working with members of the House to get that Farm Bill done. That provides certainty to farmers and ranchers in this tough financial situation. Then I think the other thing that we're actively engaged in is making sure that we continue to communicate how important trade is to farm income. I think those two efforts combined can ultimately help overturn this pattern that we've seen in terms of farms' contribution to GDP.
Absolutely. And you mentioned before we came on the broadcast that you were recently in Idaho and you had a chance to meet with producers there. What's the overall feeling among producers in Idaho? Are they still optimistic?
Well, that's a great question. So I did travel the state of Idaho. I met with a lot of different farmers from a lot of different sectors in agriculture. And I think one of the biggest sectors in Idaho agriculture is going to be the dairy industry. Idaho's the third biggest dairy state in the United States. And with milk prices being where they've been for a number of years, those dairy farmers are really, really struggling. A lot of them were really excited about the efforts of American Farm Bureau to develop a new dairy insurance product. But overall, some of the other sectors of agriculture are doing better. They've gotten some more water there in Idaho, so I think the outlook is improving. But again, I mentioned they have their eyes on the trade front, they have their eyes on the labor front, and they also have their eyes on the Farm Bill front.
As most American farmers do. Thank you so much for your time. AFBF Market Intelligence Director John Newton.